For this crochet project, you're going to need your 5mm crochet hook, as well as a tapestry needle or darning needle, and a pair of scissors. If you're using a different style of yarn, you're also going to need a tape measure. So I'm going to give you the measurements of the blocks or pieces with my tape measure. The yarn that I chose is Kitty's Super Soft DK. It's a 100-gram skein. You only need one skein of yarn for the sweater. And here's some more information about this yarn. The color is white, and this is just for my alternate color. So the main color that I'm using for the video tutorial is by Kai, by Loops and Threads. This is a light 3. More information for you. And the color that I chose is Splash. So one of my most popular baby blankets is my Sweet Pea, My Little Sweet Pea baby blanket. And this, I have a sweater too. This is a little girl's sweater, baby sweater. And for this one, I just used a bow. So you can see how you can just tie the top of it closed. For the sweater that I'm going to show you how to make, I'm going to actually use buttons. So you can decide if you want to use 3 buttons, and you can use any size that you want. I'm going to show you how to make the buttonhole to go with your buttons. On this video tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to make homemade crochet buttons for your sweater. So again, there's a separate video tutorial for this girl sweater. You can find it on my YouTube channel. You can see how beautiful I show you how to make these little flowers across the back and across the front. The size that I'm making on video tutorial is for a 3 to 6 month old baby. So we're going to start with the back portion, and the back portion is going to measure 9.5 inches. So make sure that you have 9.5 inches on your tape measure, because your starting chain, which I'm going to show you how to make a starting chain, should measure from 0 to 9.5 inches in length. So the first thing you want to do is take whatever main color you want for the back panel. Take that yarn, fold it over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb. Then yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down. Cinch the loop around your crochet hook. And then you're going to make a chain of 4. And that's just on video tutorial. So you're going to continue making your chain until it measures 9.5 inches. But I'm just going to show you 4 chains on video tutorial to show you how to make your starting chain. So you yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, finish your starting chain, and I'll tell you how many I have when I get back. And remember, it should measure 9.5 inches in length. So for mine, I started with a chain of 40, and my starting chain measures 9.5 inches in length, which is what I want. So now we're going to start with the first row. So with the first row, you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain, and here is the second chain. So you take your crochet hook, go into that second chain, bring up a loop, and then complete a single crochet. So you just yarn over and go through both loops for a single crochet. Then you're just going to make one single crochet in every stitch back. Oops, sorry about that. So we made a single crochet. So a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Now you're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch. So you yarn over, go into the second stitch, or the next stitch, I'm sorry. Oh, it's early still. So in the next stitch, you're going to bring up a loop and make a double crochet. So you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through 2. You have 2 loops remaining, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the 2 remaining loops to complete a double crochet. So you can see that your first stitch would be a single crochet. Now you have a double crochet. We're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch. So go into the next stitch and make a single crochet. and then a double crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to repeat this pattern, single crochet, double crochet, into each of the stitches back across. So single crochet, and double crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead, keep repeating that pattern all the way across and then come back. So this is how my work looks so far. Looks beautiful. And I have one stitch left. So I've made a double crochet in the previous stitch. So I'm going to make a single crochet into the last stitch. So if you make a double crochet into the last stitch, that's fine too. It doesn't matter if you end with a single crochet or a double crochet. Since I ended with a single crochet, I'm going to chain one and then turn my work. If you ended with a double crochet, you're going to chain three and then turn your work. So I ended with a single crochet, so I'm going to chain one, turn my work, and now I'm ready for row 2. Now the easy thing with this stitch pattern is I'm going to make the same stitch over the previous row's stitch. So this chain 1 counts as a single crochet for this second row, and beneath that, sorry about that, so beneath the chain is a single crochet, and that first chain counts as a single crochet. So the next stitch in the previous row is a double crochet, so we're going to make a double crochet into that stitch. Now if you had ended with a double crochet on the previous row, then you would have had a chain 3, and that would count as your double crochet for the second row, and then you would make a single crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to make whatever stitch is from this second row should be directly over the same stitch from the previous row. So now my previous row has a single crochet, so I know I'm going to be making a single crochet into that stitch. And you're just going to keep alternating again for the second row, single crochet in one stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and you keep repeating that pattern all the way across. So single crochet, double crochet. So go ahead, finish repeating this pattern, single crochet, double crochet in every stitch back across. And then come back. So now I just finished my double crochet and I have one stitch left. I'm going to make a single crochet into the last stitch. And the same thing goes for this pattern. I mean, not this pattern, but this side. If you end with a double crochet, that's okay. You're just going to chain 3 to move up to the next row. So for mine, I ended with a single crochet, so I'm just going to chain 1 and then turn my work. And again, all your stitches will line up, so that chain 1 counts as my single crochet, and it's directly over the second row's single crochet. The double crochet is the next stitch, so I'm going to make a double crochet into that stitch. And then you're just going to keep repeating this pattern until your height measures 3 inches. So you want to have 3 inches in height, and then come back. So you know how to go up, move up to the next row, and you know that you would alternate your stitches. So single crochet, double crochet. So go ahead, keep repeating this pattern until it measures 3 inches in height, and then come back. So each of these little boxes is 1 inch by 1 inch, and you can see that I've finished 3 inches in height so far, and you can see the gorgeous pattern. The texture of this is really beautiful, and that's why I think this is one of my most popular baby blankets. I'm going to be making a white baby blanket to go with this set that I'm creating a video tutorial for. Now I already have a separate video tutorial for the baby blanket if you want to go check it out, and it's my little sweet pea baby blanket. But so now what we're going to do is, I just left off here, leave a little bit of a loop. I just wanted to show you that this is the top portion of the back panel. So now I'm going to show you how to make 2 increase stitches, which means that they're going to increase the number of stitches in the row, and it's going to create a slight flare. So it's going to flare out slightly with the bottom portion of the back panel. So now I'm going to show you with this next row how to do that. So I just finished my single crochet stitch, so I'm going to move up to the next row. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and again I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then I'm going to create my increase stitch into the single crochet stitch from the previous row. So we're going to be working 3 stitches into that same stitch. So you're going to go into the next stitch and make a single crochet. In the same stitch you're going to make a double crochet, and then you're going to make a single crochet into the same stitch. So you can see how in that same stitch I made single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. So I increased the stitch count by 2 on this side. Then I'm making a double crochet into the next stitch, which is a double crochet in the previous row, and then you're just going to repeat the pattern, single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. Keep repeating that pattern all the way across until you get to the single crochet before the double crochet and single crochet. So there's 3 unworked stitches for this row, and then you come back and I'll help you make a increase stitch into that stitch. So go ahead, keep repeating this pattern of single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and leave the last 3 stitches unworked for this row, and I'll work those with you. So now I reached the last 3 stitches for this row. So I have a single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. So in the next stitch I'm going to make a single crochet, a double crochet in the same stitch, and a single crochet into the same stitch. And then you can see how I increased this end, 2 stitches on this end as well. So now I'm ready to make a double crochet into that next stitch, and then a single crochet to finish the row. Now I'm ready to move up to the next row. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and then you just resume as normal. So you're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet. Don't skip stitches. Remember, your stitches should be lining up with the single crochets, double crochets, single crochets. So make a double crochet into the next. It's lining up perfectly with the previous row. And then single crochet, and then double crochet. So go ahead, keep repeating this. Single crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and you want to keep repeating this pattern, except you're not going to be doing any increase stitches until your work measures 6 inches. So when you reach 6 inches, come back, and then I'll show you how to make 1 increase row after we make it measure 6 inches in height. So now I have 6 inches in height that I've completed, and you can see how there's like a little slight flare, which is what we created when we did the increase stitches at 3 inches. So now we're going to create another increase, and we're going to increase the stitches on this side and on the other side, just like we did at the 3-inch mark. So I've already chained 1 and turned my work, make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then in the next stitch is the single crochet, double crochet in the same stitch, and then single crochet in the same stitch. And that's our increase stitch for this end. Then you're just going to resume, double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and you keep repeating that pattern all the way until the last 3 stitches. So again, leave the last 3 stitches unworked and then come back. So now I'm on the opposite end, and I have 3 stitches remaining. I'm going to make a single crochet, double crochet in the same stitch, single crochet in the same stitch, then finish up with a double crochet into the next stitch, and then the single crochet on the end, last stitch. Then chain 1, turn my work, so now you want to keep repeating your pattern until you have 7.5 inches in height. It can be easy to skip stitches over the previous row's increased stitch, so just be careful that your stitches still line up. So double crochet over double crochet, single crochet over single crochet. So now my back panel measures 7.5 inches in height, which is what I want. So after you finish that last row, then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And then we have the back panel finished. So now just flip the back panel over, and then the part that flares out slightly and is larger is at the bottom, and then here is the top. So now what we're going to do is place our stitch markers. So I'm going to show you real quick the green one that I'm making. I'm making 2 of these. I love this pattern so much. So here's the back panel, and now we're going to make the front panels. So these front panels are going to come down like this. So you can see how with the front panels you create a V, and then here's the flaps of the front panel. So I'm going to show you how to place your stitch markers so we can create this, both the left and the right front panels. So again, you want to have the work facing upright where the flare is towards the bottom, and then here's the top. So now I'm going to show you how to place your stitch markers. The first thing you want to do is fold your work in half. And then you're going to place a stitch marker into the center stitch. So that way you know where the middle is. That's where the folds will meet. Then you're going to measure 3 inches from each side. So measure 3 inches, and then that's where you're going to place your stitch marker. Same thing on the other side. Three inches. And place your stitch marker. Now you have all 3 of your stitch markers in place. So now we're going to join in the top right corner. So you're going to take your crochet hook, go into the top right corner, bring up a loop with your same colored yarn, and then you're going to chain 1 and then just tie a knot. And then I'm going to bury both loose yarn ends as I crochet. So just lay those loose yarn ends along the top of the work. And then you're just going to chain 1. And then, let me look at my stitch. So then, since I started with the chain 1, that counts as my single crochet. I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, go behind your loose yarn ends, bring up a loop, and make a double crochet. Then you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch, and then a double crochet into the next stitch. You're going behind the loose yarn ends to bury them as you crochet. And then you're going to repeat this pattern, single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, until you get to the stitch right before the stitch marker, and then come back. So now I have one stitch remaining before the stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead and trim my loose yarn ends. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a single crochet into that last stitch before my safety pin or stitch marker. Then I'm going to chain one, turn my work. Now with this, let me turn it back over. So with this side of the front panel, this is the right front panel, you're going to want the angle, the V-stitch, to go on this side of your work. And you want this side of your work, the edge, to be straight. So now on the second row of the front panel, I'm going to make my increase stitch on this side because that's the side that I want the V shape to occur on. So this is row number 2 for the front panel. And I just made a chain 1. Now I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch. Now your stitches should be lining up. So I have a chain 1, single crochet, double crochet, double crochet. So still you want to maintain that. Now in the next stitch I want to make an increase stitch. So I'm going to make single crochet into that stitch. Then I'm going to make a double crochet into the same stitch. And a single crochet into the same stitch. Then I'm going to resume one double crochet in the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and just repeat that pattern all the way across. So no increase stitch on this side because we want this side to be straight. So you're just going to make one double crochet in the next stitch and one single crochet in the next stitch, and you just keep repeating that all the way to the end. So now we're going to move up to row 3 for the right front panel. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then one single crochet into the next stitch, and one double crochet into the next stitch, and repeat that pattern all the way across. We're not going to make an increase row for this row. This row is just going to be 1 to 1. So now I just finished row 3. Now I'm moving up to row 4. Now row 4 is going to be an increase row. So just chain 1, turn your work. You're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch. And then you have a single crochet for the next stitch. We're going to make our increase in that stitch there. So you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch, make a double crochet into the same stitch, and remember we're on row 4 now, and then single crochet into the same stitch. So we just made an increase stitch. Then you're just going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then you're just going to repeat back across, no more increase stitches. You're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and then repeat single crochet, double crochet all the way back across to complete row 4. So now we're moving up to row 5. Now row 5 is not an increase row. So you're just going to make 1 to 1. I just finished my chain 1. So double crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and repeat that pattern all the way across to complete row 5. So now I just finished row 5. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and for row 6 we're going to be making an increase row. So I just finished my chain 1. I'm going to make a double crochet in the next stitch, and then I have my next stitch will be the increase stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row. So I'll make a single crochet into that stitch, a double crochet into the same stitch, and a single crochet into the same stitch. And then for the rest of the row, you're just going to resume making your double crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch to complete row 6. Then move up to row 7, and row 7 is not an increase row. So you just make one single crochet into, you make your chain 1, 1 double crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and repeat that all the way across to complete row 7. Now I just completed row 7. I'm going to move up to row 8. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and you can see how you have a gradual V forming on this side because you kept the increased stitches on this side, and this side is straight because you did not make increased stitches on this side. So now this is row 8, and on row 8 we're going to make this an increase row. So you make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then the next single crochet stitch from the previous row will be where you make your increase stitch. You're going to make single crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the same stitch, single crochet into the same stitch, and then you finish your increase stitch. Then you're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then just alternate one single crochet into the next stitch, one double crochet into the next stitch, and just keep repeating that pattern to complete the 8th row. So you're only repeating one single crochet in the next stitch, one double crochet into the next stitch to complete row 8. So now we're on row 9, and row 9 is not an increase row. So you're just going to make one double crochet into the next stitch, one single crochet in the next stitch, one double crochet in the next stitch, and keep repeating that pattern all the way across to complete row 9. So now I'm on row 10, and row 10 is the last increase row. So I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then make my increase stitches into the single crochet stitch from the previous row. So make a single crochet in that stitch, a double crochet in the same stitch, and a single crochet in the same stitch. Then I'm going to resume one double crochet in the next stitch, and then alternate one single crochet in the next stitch and one double crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern. One single crochet in the next stitch, one double crochet in the next stitch. Keep repeating that all the way across to complete row 10. So now you just finished row 10. I'm just going to leave a little loop here so I can resume where I left off. I just want to show you. Let's see. So now you can see how you formed a V portion for the neck, and here is the middle stitch marker that we created, and you can see that it's lining up with that middle stitch marker, which is what we want. So now the rest of the rows are going to be made the same way, and you're not going to increase. There are no more increase rows. So you're going to maintain your stitch count down until it measures the same length as the bottom of your back panel. So I'll show you with the green one. So here's the green one, and you can see how the front panel goes and meets the bottom of the back panel. And that's what you're going to do with the blue one, or whatever color you're using. So I just finished the last increase row. So now I'm moving up to row 11. I chained 1, turn my work, and the rest of the rows are going to be 1 to 1. So you make one double crochet in the next stitch, one single crochet in the next stitch, and you keep repeating that until the length meets up with the back panel, like I just showed you. So go ahead, finish the rest of this right front panel, and then come back. So now I finished, and I wanted to show you the measurement of this one. So for this one, I measure it at about 9 inches in length for mine. Then after you reach the length that you need, you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over, and then just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And then you're ready to join your yarn on the opposite side. So here's the right front panel, and now I'm going to join in the stitch just before the stitch marker. So you want to go just before the stitch marker, and then here's the edge. And then you just bring up a loop. Then you're going to chain 1. Then you're going to take and tie a knot. Then you can take and chain 1. That counts as your single crochet for this first row for the left front panel. Then you're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and I'm going behind my loose yarn end. And then a single crochet into the next stitch. And double crochet. And you're just going to alternate those 2 stitches, single crochet into one stitch and a double crochet into the next stitch, and just keep repeating that pattern all the way across to the end, and then come back. So now I'm on row 2. I started with the chain 1, then a double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to keep alternating that, single crochet into one stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, all the way back across, and leave the last 3 stitches unworked so I can work the increase stitch with you. So now I have a single crochet, a double crochet, and a single crochet stitch left. So in the next single crochet stitch, I'm going to make my increase stitch, which is single crochet in the same stitch, double crochet in the same stitch, and single crochet in the same stitch. Then I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch and a single crochet in the last stitch for row 2. So then you're going to chain 1 to move to the next row. So the next row is row 3. So it's an odd row. And remember, the odd rows, we didn't make increase stitches. There's always 1 to 1. So in the next stitch would be a double crochet. Next stitch would be a single crochet, double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and repeat that all the way back across for row 3. So now we're on row 4, and you can see, I'm just going to leave a little loop there so I can show you. And fold up the right panel, and then we have the left panel, and you can see that we're making the increase stitches on the inside. So here's the V stitch on this side, and we're making one on this side. So you can see how we're creating it the same way. So the increase stitch needs to always be on the innermost part of the left front panel. And we also are making the increase stitches in the same rows that we did for the right panel. So now we're on row 4. And we know that for the even rows, we made the increase stitch. And we make the increase stitch on the inner aspect. So you're going to go ahead and just make a double crochet in the next stitch, a single crochet in the next stitch, and a double crochet in the next stitch. And you keep repeating that pattern until you get to the last 3 unworked stitch for row 4. So now I have my single crochet. I have 3 stitches remaining for this row. This is row 4. So I'm going to make a single crochet into the next stitch, a double crochet into the same stitch, and a single crochet into the same stitch to complete an increase stitch. Then I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and a single crochet in the last stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and then row 5, the odd number, is going to be just 1 to 1. So double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and then just repeat that pattern all the way across for row 5. And then that brings me to row 6. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and we know that the even row 6 has an increased stitch on the inner aspect. So now you're going to go ahead and complete all the way up to row 11, and remember row 6, 8, and 10 have increased stitches on the inner aspect. So go ahead, finish your left front panel just like you did for the right front panel, and then come back. So now you can see I left off with my last row, and to double check to make sure you have enough rows, you can line it up with your other front panel, and they should be the same. Make sure I have it the same. So you can see that they line up, and then once they line up and you made enough rows, you can take and finish off. So just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Then you can take and double check your panels, line them up. So here you can see that the V's meet, and you have a nice V shape for the neck. And now we're going to make the sleeve portions. So this is another thing that I like about this pattern, is you can make your sleeves any size that you want for the opening. So for mine, you fold the yarn over on itself to form a loop. We're going to start with the slip knot. Move this out of the way. And then hold the, whoops, fix that again. So once you have the loop, go ahead and hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb. Yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down. Cinch the loop around your crochet hook. Now to start, I'm just going to show you how I start the chain. So I'm just going to show you 4 on video tutorial. You just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1 chain, 2, 3, 4. And when you come back, I'll show you how long my chain is for mine. So for mine, I made a chain of 40, and that's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about approximately 9 inches in length. And when you fold it in half or form a circle, that's how large your opening will be for the sleeve. And so when folded in half, it's approximately 4 inches in size, 4 to 4.5 inches, probably more 4.5 inches. And for one of them, this is my other color that I used. This one is also approximately 4 inches, and the opening, you have a pretty good size opening for the sleeve. So now, after you make a chain of 40, we're going to make our first row. So you're going to make a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So count back 1, 2, make a single crochet. Then you're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to alternate that pattern all the way across for row 1. So single crochet in the first stitch, and then double crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way across for row 1. So now after you finished row 1, you're going to take and fold it in half. Make sure you don't get it twisted. You don't want it twisted. Then you're going to make a slip stitch into the top stitch on the opposite side. So you can go into that top stitch and then get the yarn, and we're going to make a slip stitch. You yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch. Then chain 1, and then take and lay your work down and take that loose yarn end on the bottom, put that onto your tapestry needle, and then you're going to join the bottom stitch. So now you have a circle created for the sleeve. I'm going to go through twice, make a good knot, and then don't worry about burying the loose yarn end at this time. Then you're ready to start working in rounds, but the first thing you're going to do is just turn your work so that the work is facing you. And then the first stitch that you have is a single crochet, so go into that stitch and make a single crochet. And then you can use the loose yarn end as a marker so you know when you finished your rounds. And then you're just going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then you're just going to repeat the same pattern, one single crochet into the previous row's single crochet, then one double crochet into the next stitch of the previous row's double crochet, and you just keep repeating that pattern all the way back to where we started. So now I'm back to where I started, and I have a double crochet here, so I know I need a single crochet in the next stitch. So I'm not going to slip stitch. I'm just going to keep working in rounds with my pattern. So I have a single crochet there. The next stitch will be a double crochet. Make sure you get into the right stitch. And if you need to single crochet 2 stitches together, you can do that as well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to go into this gap right here, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, which is a single crochet stitch from the previous row, bring up a loop, then yarn over and go through all 3 for my single crochet 2 stitches together. Then I'm going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, which lines up with the double crochet from the previous row, single crochet in the next stitch, and I'm just going to keep on repeating this pattern until I have the length that I want for my sleeve. So when you come back, I'll show you what the length is for mine. Again, I don't slip stitch when I get to my yarn marker, which is the loose yarn end. I just keep working in rounds with my pattern. So now I'm just going to show you with my green one, since I'm already finished with the green one. So the length that I made so the opening was what we started with, and that measures approximately 4 inches for the opening, and then for the length is also 4 inches. So you can make it longer if you want to. That's how long I made mine. And now you're ready to sew the sleeve in place. So you want to line it up. You should have 2. Make sure you made 2 sleeves the same size, the same way. Now you want the right sides together. So make sure that you have the right sides together, and the wrong side is facing me. So this is the wrong side of the work. And then you're going to take your sleeve, you're going to lift up the panel on the side that you're sewing the sleeve, and then place the sleeve inside. Then you're going to take and sew the sleeve in place. So then you're going to take your tapestry needle, and you want to take the long end that you left for sewing on the sleeve, or just get the same colored yarn, and then you're going to take and go into the sleeve portion and the front panel, on top of the front panel, and sew it in place. So you just go in and out, sewing the sleeve to the front panel. And you're going to sew all the way around. Now you're also going to sew down the edge too. So if you need to join new yarn, you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and sew down into both the sleeve and the opposite back panel. So I'm sewing the back panel to the front panel down the side, and then I'm probably going to get new yarn down here so I can go back up and finish the rest of the sleeve. So now, after you finish sewing the side and the armhole in place, you can see when you open it up that you have the arm all sewn in place and the right side has a beautiful seam. That's what you want. So now you're going to repeat the same thing with the other panel. So you just take your sleeve, lift up the panel, and then place your sleeve inside so you can sew it in place, and repeat the same thing for this side. So now you can see what it looks like on the right side. This is the back panel and the nice seam and a seam on the side, and then here is the front. I just love how it turns out. It's so easy to make too. So now we're going to make the buttons that will go on the right side here. So I'm going to show you how to make a crochet button. So now I want to show you how to make the crochet buttons. I've already made 2 of them, and I'm going to show you how to make the 3rd one on video tutorial. So you just take your yarn color that you want for the buttons, and we're going to start with the magic circle. So you take the yarn, drape it across your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize, wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers, and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then take your crochet hook, go under those 2 loops around the middle fingers, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So just yarn over and go through both loops, go under, pick up a loop, yarn over and go through both loops for a single crochet, and that's my 2nd one. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Then just take your 4-finger and thumb, hold the base of the 6 single crochet. You have 2 loops on the opposite side, pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one, but this one's closing. Then take and pull on the loose yarn end. Go ahead and turn your work so that you're working in rounds. And then you're going to make 2 single crochet into every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches in the round. So 2 single crochet into every stitch in the round for a total of 12 stitches in the round. So go ahead, finish making 2 single crochet in every stitch around, and then come back when you have 12 stitches in the round. So after you finish 12 stitches in the round, you can turn your work over and pull on that loose yarn end on the back to make sure that it's nice and closed, the center. Then just take a yarn marker, any of your scraps of yarn, and place it right where you left off. And now you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rounds. So when you reach the yarn marker, you just leave it there and you just keep on making 1 single crochet in every stitch around until you've finished a total of 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this first round with you. So you can see that I'm almost finished with 1 round. So I just finished 1 round and I made it to my yarn marker. I'm just going to leave the yarn marker in place and then just keep crocheting. So we need a total of 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So then after you finish 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and remove the yarn marker, and then we're going to close up the buttonhole. So make sure that you have your loose yarn end tucked into the inside. Then just take and make single crochet 2 stitches together all the way around. So again, for single crochet 2 stitches together, you just go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, then go through all 3 for a single crochet 2 stitches together. And you're just going to repeat that all the way around until you're almost closed. This will be my last one. You can see how the opening is really small. Then you're just going to skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through both stitches for a slip stitch, and then repeat it one more time. And then you can finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the button in place. And now you have a cute little poofy button that you can sew onto your sweater. So now just get your tapestry needle and put it onto the loose yarn end that you left for sewing, or the same colored yarn, and then you're just going to place your button where you want to have it on the sweater, and then go in through the wrong side, hold your button in place where you want it, then you just take and sew through the bottom portion of the button only, so don't grab the top poofy part, just the bottom of the button. And then you can take and sew the bottom of the button in place. And you can go through your loop to make a knot. And I usually make a knot 3 times. Then to bury the loose yarn end, I go right through the center of the button. And then just trim your loose yarn end. And then you have your 3 buttons in place. So now you can grab your stitch markers and you want to line up where you're going to have your buttonholes. So I'm going to place a stitch marker right where I need buttonholes. So I'm lining them up with the button on the opposite side. So on each of these, on the left side is where I need the buttonhole for the right side. And now we're ready to make the edging for the buttonholes. So I'm using my white colored yarn, and I used Kitty's Super Soft DK 100 grams. Here's some information for you. And this color is just white. So you just join your yarn right at the bottom of the side that you're going to make your buttonholes. Just bring up a loop, then chain 1, and then tie a knot. I'm just going to use the loose yarn end that I have there. And I'm going to bury my loose yarn end as I crochet. So the first thing you're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, and that counts as your first half double crochet. And you're going to evenly space 1 half double crochet in every stitch until you get to your stitch marker, and then I'll show you how to make the buttonhole. So you just yarn over, go into the next stitch, go behind your loose yarn ends, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. And then you're just going to evenly space your half double crochets until you reach the first stitch marker. So now I reached my stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead and remove the stitch marker and trim my loose yarn ends. So now you're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then make a half double crochet into the next stitch. So you yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. And then you can see how big my buttonhole is. Now if you need a smaller buttonhole, then you would make less chains. And then that would make you, so if you're using a sew-on button or a smaller button, you can adjust the size of your buttonhole. So then you just continue making 1 half double crochet, evenly spaced, until you reach the next buttonhole, and then you just make all three of your buttonholes where you have your stitch markers. So then this is how my work looks. So far I have my 3 buttonholes, and then I'm moving up towards the neck, and you're going to continue making 1/2 double crochet in every stitch all the way around and back down the buttonhole side, and then across the bottom all the way back to where you started. If you're going around a corner or a curve, you can make 2 1/2 double crochet in the same stitch before the curve, and then 2 1/2 double crochet, 1/2 double crochet in the curve, and then 2 1/2 double crochet after the curve. And that just helps the work lay flat, and then the 1/2 double crochet stitches don't curl up. So you want to add as many stitches as you need to prevent that from happening. And then you just resume making, I'm going to make 2 in this one stitch too. So in the 2 stitches around the curve. So however many you need to keep it to lay flat, and then just resume the 1/2 double crochet in every stitch. Then you can see how I placed extra stitches in the stitch before my initial chain 2. Then you just take and slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 2, yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch. Then go ahead and finish off, just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Then you can take and bury your loose yarn end on the wrong side of your work. Just take and weave it through the wrong side of your work. And then go ahead and trim the loose yarn end and bury any other loose yarn ends that you have. Next, you're going to make the 1/2 double crochet rounds around the sleeve. So just take and join your white colored yarn. And I usually join where I have my loose yarn end so I can bury them as I crochet. Just going to chain 1 and then just tie a knot. Then just chain 1, actually chain 2. That counts as your first 1/2 double crochet. Take your loose yarn ends, move them on top of the sleeve so you can bury them as you crochet. Yarn over, go into the next stitch behind your loose yarn ends, bring up a loop, make a 1/2 double crochet, and then you're just going to make 1/2 double crochet in every stitch around, evenly spaced, until you get back to where you started. Then when you reach where you started, just make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 2, and then finish off. Bury your loose yarn end, and then repeat the same thing for the other sleeve. So now your sweater is all finished. Looks really good. I have the white lining on both sleeves, and then you can take and button with your crochet buttons, or like I said, you could use real buttons. You would just have to make your buttonhole. Find my third one up. To unbutton it with the first one, first buttonhole. Here is the second and the third. Super cute.